All right. Alrighty. We are live. I just got back running from the toilet because I was on a call and it's been a busy day. Meetings after meetings. So we're going to get started here and hopefully help you guys out a little bit. If you don't listen to my podcast yet, you should. Tons of great information on there. If you guys are on TikTok, go listen to my podcast. It drops every Monday morning. Why does this lighting keep changing? Every Monday morning it drops, and just dropped my, was it 112th? I think. What's the what's my count up to? 112th, yeah, 112th podcast just dropped this morning. So tons and tons and tons of information on there, from mindset to sales to marketing to systems, communications, customer service, subcontractor, cash flow. I mean, lots of interviews with industry experts, just tons and tons and tons of information on there. Most episodes are anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes long. Uh, I mean, just nonstop information. So if you are a contractor and you're looking to get better in your business, the podcast is a great way to do that. And it's on TikTok. It's my name here. It's literally, it says Hammer and Grind Podcast. So go to your favorite podcast player and you can find the podcast. I don't know why do I have like a filter on TikTok or what's going on? My picture looks totally different for some reason, and I don't understand it. If you guys are just jumping in here, lots of Q&A time. So if you have questions for me, drop them in the chat, either on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching from, TikTok. Throw it in the chat. I'd be more than happy to help you. The podcast that dropped today is episode 112. It's killing you slowly and you don't even know it. And what we're talking about is really the business aspect of not knowing what you're doing, like not knowing your numbers, not knowing the information that you need to know. And it is like, it's killing your business because you don't even realize what it's doing. You don't have to work 16 hours a day to make money. You don't have to work weekends. I know a lot of contractors that work 6-7 days a week just to make decent money so that they can live off of. But you should never have to do that. If you're a contractor and I don't care what you do, you should never, ever, ever have to work a weekend to make money for your business. Now, if you want to, that's a different situation. If you're a workaholic and maybe you're wanting to make some extra money because you got a big purchase coming up and you just want to make an extra 10 grand, this month working on the weekends or whatever. If you're on the tools working, or even if you got crews, maybe you have crews that want to work overtime and you're like, cool, if you want to work overtime, I'll sell jobs on the weekend. No problem. But if you have to work on the weekends to make ends meet, to make the kind of money that you want to make, you're not doing it right. You're not doing business correctly. Okay. So that's the part I'm talking about. If you want to work weekends, that's great. If you have to, that's not good. A lot of contractors believe that in order to make more money, I got to do more estimates. I got to do more output. This is a fundamental flaw that contractors have. In order for me to make more money, I have to hire more people. I got to hire more staff, and I got to do sell more jobs. And in order to sell more jobs, I got to go do more estimates, and I have to do all of these things in order to make more money. And again, this is a fundamental flaw in thinking of what it takes to run a successful contracting business. You don't have to do that. You don't have to have more people. Hiring more people to make more money, if you're not making money currently, is a byproduct of you not charging enough. See, a lot of people think, and I did the same thing. A lot of contractors think that, here, let me I got this. I bought this weekend so that I could make this a lot easier to talk about this stuff. Looks like it's going to mess up my lighting on the. That kind of sucks. It's messing up my lighting. A lot of people think that, let's say I'm a remodeler or whatever, and I charge $40 an hour for myself, right? Like that's when I go bid a job, I think the job's going to take 10 hours, and I charge, $40 an hour for my service. That's $400 for 10 hours, right? Or if it's 100 hours, it's 4,000. Like that's just the basic math of what people believe, right? I'm charging $40 an hour. So if I'm doing, 10-hour days on average, then I'm making $400 a day is my output, right? If I'm charging $440 an hour and I can work 10-hour days, I'm making $400 a day. That's my output. Following me? So I'm maxed out. I'm working by myself. I'm maxed out. I can only make $400 a day. So the only way I can make more money is now I need to hire more people so that I can repeat this. So I can repeat this process. So now I got to hire a guy. Well, I'm not paying him $40 an hour because he doesn't really know what he's doing. So now I hire a dude and I pay him $30 an hour, right? Which is $300 a day. That's his output, right? You're like, cool, I'm making $700 a day now. But are you really making that much money? Because $30 an hour is not what it's costing you. When you factor in their true labor burden, they're it's costing you like $42 an hour. And maybe you're only charging $45 an hour for that person, or $40 an hour. You might even be losing $2 an hour because you don't know your numbers. But my point is, like, we look at this like, oh, I need to hire more people. If the maximum I can charge is $40 an hour for everyone, then I got to hire like 5 people in order to get to $2,000 a day output, because that's my goal. And so we think that the solution is hiring more people. Meanwhile, contractor B, who's been through and learned the contractor profit blueprint, he knows that he doesn't need to hire more people. All he has to do is charge more. So instead of $40 an hour, he's actually charging $80 an hour, or $125 an hour for himself first. And so now this person who's charging $80 an hour is making twice as much money as the guy charging $40 an hour, and the guy who's charging $40 and has one employee. So this guy here is making $10 more an hour for the guy who has himself and a helper, because all he did was raise his prices. And when you understand that, it becomes so much easier, because now I don't have to work as hard, and I don't have to have more employees to manage. And I don't care how good your employees are. Employees and having staff is a pain in the butt. There's headaches with that. There's vacations you got to deal with. There's sick days you got to deal with. There's, complaints you got to worry about, and sexual harassment you got to deal with. And, did they break stuff, and did they do this, and they forget things. I had a guy that he was a good guy, but he would take the van keys home in his pocket, come in the next day, and their van keys were at home on his dresser. He just forgot to bring them in. It was an honest mistake. He just, got down, dropped his van off, forgot to hang the keys up, had them in his pocket, went home, took his pants off, left them there the next day. Well, what do you do with that? Now he's got to go home and get his keys. So now he's wasted an hour of production that day because he didn't have his keys. Well, I'll solve that. I'll just go get more sets of keys. Okay. Well, you go buy another set of keys, and then it happens again. Like this is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, the people believe that the solution is just hiring more people and have more crews so you can make more money. And that's not the solution. The solution is to max out your profits first. You always max out your profits first. And then once that's maxed out, if you want to grow beyond that, then you can start hiring employees. And yes, you can use subs too. There's nothing wrong with subs. That's a totally different situation. But even with subs, it's how much are you marking up your subs? You may do like a kitchen remodel, and maybe you 100% sub it out. And you have a tile guy, and you have an electrician and a plumber, and a countertop guy and a carpenter, and you have all these different subs, and they get in there, and you're only marking up the subs 20%, whatever they tell you. They give you an invoice for $3,000, you mark it up 20%, and that's how you make your money. I'm telling you, you can mark up your subs more, right? You can mark them up. Yeah. Jason says my contractor subs 100%. I don't know if you're saying that you mark it up 100% or he subs out 100% of the work. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but you can still mark up your subs to make more money. Oh, he does. Okay. He does no work. So even with subcontractors, a lot of subs like GCs are like, hey, I got to do, in order to make more money, I got to have 6 projects going at one time. And then they just run around with a chicken with their head cut off managing these projects because they're only marking up their subs 20%. Whereas if they marked up their subs, say, 50% or heaven forbid 100% markup, instead of doing 5 jobs at one time, you can do 2 or 3 jobs at one time and make the same amount of profit. Who on here would rather manage 2 jobs at once versus 5 or 6 jobs at once? Throw a 1 in the comments if you would rather manage 2 jobs over 6 jobs and make the same money. Throw a 1 in the chat if you would rather work, and if you would rather do less work and make the same versus do more work and make the same. Everyone should be putting 1 in. Who wants to do more work? Nobody does, right? Nobody wants to do more work. So why do we do this? Because that's what we're told. We're all told this big lie. Yeah, if you can do 2.5, that's even better. Anthem works. I'm talking about the minimum should be, a 2 multiplier of 2 is a minimum. And of course, size of job matters. When I did smaller jobs, handyman type work, I'd have 75, 80% gross profit margins easily. If I was doing bigger jobs like remodels, it was more like 50% gross profit. So smaller jobs, you can get higher gross profit margins on. You just got to do more of those jobs, right? So there's lots of ways you can look at it. But the main thing is that we think we have to hire a bunch of people, and then we have this huge headache because when you hire more people, now you got to have systems and processes in place. A lot of these guys, some of you may have 2 or 3 employees, and that's very doable, very manageable with 2 or 3 employees with yourself. But you may not even need to have 2 or 3 employees. Like, you may be able to make the same amount of money with 1 employee or with just you if you're small, if you want to stay, small, or you can go straight to 100% subs. There's lots of options, but this idea that you have to work 10, 12-hour days, 16-hour days, work 7 days a week to make the money is complete fallacy. You've been lied to. You've been lied to by all the other contractors out there that have no clue what they're doing. And that's the majority of them. Like, legitimately, that's the majority of them. So you don't have to sacrifice everything, guys. You don't have to miss your kids' games. You don't have to, work on the weekends and miss your daughter's dance recital or your son's t-ball game or whatever it is, or miss, your family, your wife's or husband's anniversary, whatever. You don't have to do that. And yes, there's always extenuating circumstances. There's always this deadline that has to be met. Things do come up. Sometimes you have to work on a Saturday to get a job done, but those are the exceptions. Those should never be the norm. If you're the type of person that, like, you always have overtime for your guys every single week, there's always 5 to 10 minutes, 10 hours of overtime because you can't ever get things done, like you're always behind schedule, that is a clear indicator that you're not charging enough, and or can be that you don't know how to schedule jobs. but usually it's an indicator that you don't make enough, because here's the thing: if you make more money per job, you can sit back and you can actually take a breath and be like, oh man, I don't have to run around like a chicken with my head cut off today, because it doesn't matter if we only work 6 hours of production time today, because I have so much profit in my job. I don't have to work all the freaking time to try and get in to make ends meet. I don't have to constantly be stressed out to get jobs done. If I get done on Friday, great. I make 55% gross profit. If I don't get done until Monday, I end up at a 52% gross profit. Either way, I'm making plenty of money. And so I don't have to like be stressed out, because I know what most of you do, because I did this too. Most of you, the job is Friday. It's the last day of this, scheduled job, and you're trying to do 16 hours of work on a Friday because you want to get it done. You're working a 16-hour day because you want to get it done, and you turn into a frantic finisher. That's what I call a frantic finisher. From day one until, day 27, which is Thursday, it's just been like normal working pace. But on Friday, which is the last scheduled day of the job, we got to work at 200% production rate to get this job done, because now we're one day behind schedule. Or if we don't get it done today, we're going to be behind schedule. I'm going to lose a bunch of money. I'm not going to make any money. Right? We turn into frantic finishers, and we got to get everything done. And so you could potentially ruin 27 days worth of work, of quality work, on the very last day because you're trying to get it done because you're a frantic finisher. Who wants to do that? Like, you can literally ruin the customer's experience on the very last day after you've done a phenomenal job, the whole project, because you didn't factor in enough profit on your jobs. Versus you have enough profit and you get to Friday and you're like, man, it would have been nice to get it done today because we would have got some extra, bonus profit, but we'll work our 8 hours like normal and then come back on Monday and knock it out. It's okay. I'm not worried about it. I'm not stressed out. I'm not going to work on the weekends because I have the profit, because I'm not worried about it. Maybe I only end up with a 45% gross profit. Some of you are getting 20% gross profit, and an extra 25% gross profit would literally blow your mind. Like, you wouldn't know what to do with yourself. You would literally double your revenue without doing a single hour more of work. And this is like extremely difficult for people to wrap their brains around. I know it is. It seems like it's impossible. It's not. I have clients every day that are doing this. I just got off a call a while ago with one of my clients. He's a welder. He does custom welding. Phenomenal industry to be in. Like, he's going to do extremely well. He just started his business like 2 months ago, and he's doing extremely well. And he just raised his prices $25 an hour, from 100 to 125 bucks an hour. And he started charging from when he leaves until he gets back, right? Which is extra time. He said, I haven't got a complaint yet. I just raised my rates $25 an hour and I haven't got a single complaint yet. And I'm like, you could probably do more. You could probably raise it to like 140 an hour and nobody would complain. But if you get on TikTok, whoo, man, customers will tell you you're ripping them off. Other contractors will say you're ripping people off, and how can you sleep at night? And, you're a crook, and, you're what's wrong with the world and the economy, and you're what's causing inflation, and all the other stupid, idiotic comments that they say. Like, you'll see those, you'll see 20 or 30 of those comments and start to believe it. You'll start to believe it. Yeah, I can't do that, Brad. I can't raise my rates. I can't raise my rates because I'll never get any work. That's another good one from the contractor, the broke mindset contractors. I can't raise my rates. If I do that, I'll never have any work. So in your mind, it's better to charge less and work 3 times as much than to charge more and get a third less jobs, even though you're making more money working less, because being busy is the formula for success. Like, whenever I see people say, well, I stay busy, I'm not trying to rip people off. I'm just trying to stay busy. That's code for, I really don't know what I'm doing. And secretly, I wish I could make more money, but I feel really bad for making more money because I work for crappy clients. And when I say crappy, I mean people that aren't as well off. I don't mean like they're bad human beings. I just mean like that financially they can't afford your services. So you believe it's your right, or your duty rather, to provide everyone on the planet with affordable work, because that's your way of helping out the economy and helping out people. And that's very honorable that you think like that. That's very honorable. However, those people that you give discounts to, that you give breaks to, I guarantee you, I would bet you $1 million cash that if you fell on hard times and you couldn't afford to make your payments, you couldn't afford to make your house payment or your truck payment or insurance or buy food, I would bet you $1 million if you called those people, they would not care or give you money. They wouldn't. They just would not give you money to make you have, to live. Because those people who complain about the pricing, they really don't give a crap about you. What they're complaining about is that they don't have the wherewithal to go out and make more money to be able to afford to pay for better contractors. And I'm not dogging on these people. I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm just saying there are people out there who have conceded to believe that like their income level is the maximum that they can get and they can't get any more. And therefore, if they can't afford your services, then that must be because you're ripping them off. And that's not true, guys. That's not true at all. So don't believe this headache, the not the headache, don't believe this bullcrap and stuff that people say on social media. And even like I had to go through this in my own self. I had to get rid of my own head trash because even my own father, who I love my father, I have nothing against him, but even he's a dealer, like he's a wheeler and dealer. Um, he was, he was just telling a story Saturday at my son's baseball game of how a lady, he works on lawn, he's retired and he works on lawnmowers on the side. And he was telling the story about how this lady wanted to buy one of the mowers that he had, and she had an old one that kept having problems. And she's like, will you give me 200 bucks? Will you take 200 bucks? He's like, nah, I can't do that. 150. I'll give you 150 for it. And he said, oh, she said, okay. Well, he goes and gets this mower. It's got like a $27 part wrong with it. And the retail value is like $7,500 for this mower. And so like he got a $7,500 mower for 150 bucks. And I think he felt bad for that because he even, when the guy came to pick it up, he said, here's 200 bucks. He's going to make like, $6,800, $7,000 when he goes to sell it. So I had to get over a bunch of head trash because that's my dad, how he grew up. Everything's a wheel and deal. You do it yourself. You save money. You don't pay expensive things. And I had to get over that. And a lot of us have that head trash and we think that we're ripping people off, and we're not. We're not. Here's the thing that I learned with money, because you hear the villainization of rich people. If you turn on the news, turn on social media, and all you see is that rich people are bad, rich people are evil. And I'm not talking like we're going to become millionaires or multimillionaires, although some of us can. I'm saying like even making $100,000 a year, 150, $200,000 a year in your business, like people will villainize you and say that's bad. You're greedy. You're ripping people off. And that's a bunch of BS, because who do you think writes the majority of the checks for nonprofits? Who do you think funds the expansion of the churches? Who do you think pays for most of the outreach and things that help poor people? Most of it, like 80% of the money, and this is not, I'm not like, I don't know the exact percentage. It might be 82 or 93 or whatever, but it's an overwhelming, it's like over 75%. I know that. But over 75% of the total money that's given to charities is donated by rich people. It's not donated. It doesn't come from the guys that are donating 40 bucks a month to that nonprofit. It comes from rich people who write, $500,000 checks, who write $10 million checks, who write $50 million checks. An overwhelming majority of the money that's done for good in the world comes from rich people, not from poor people. So if you want to do good in the world, get the money first and then give it back. And I've said this before, you should run your business so you can be charitable. Don't run your business like a charity. So when you think you're helping somebody by keeping your rates low and giving, Sweet Alice a discount, that you're doing your good in the world, you're really not. You're really screwing yourself. And because if you were able to make more money, your money will multiply more people. It actually multiplies the amount of people that you're helping. If you discount your prices, and let's say you help 10 people a year on average because you feel bad for them and you lower your prices, that's great that you're able to do that. But you're only able to help 10 people. Okay. If you were to raise your rates and make more money, you could potentially help 50 people a year or potentially help 1,000 people a year because your money is magnified and it's multiplied to help more people. So if it's your purpose on earth to help people, make more money so you can give more money. And this is another thing that people don't understand. You actually will do more by multiplying the money and helping more people. You're not helping the world by giving it to 5 people a year, by discounting your rates for 20 jobs a year. It financially, it doesn't make sense. Logically, it doesn't make sense. And spiritually, it doesn't make sense. It actually says in the Bible to multiply your money. There's parables. Jesus gave the money to 3 people. He talks about the servant. He had to go out of town and gave his money to 3 people. It says, take this money and multiply it. It doesn't matter if you're spiritual or not. Like, this is the universal law across the board. It's your job as human beings to further the race. It's not to save money. It's not to help people out like that. It's not to screw yourself to help other people is what I'm saying. Unless you want to be Mother Teresa, then sell everything that you own and, go do that. Be a missionary, do that. But you can't be like, well, I don't really want to make too much money. I just need enough money to live in my trailer and have beer and I'm good. That's all I need. So I want to help everybody else out. You're not helping people by doing that. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. Let me go back and check these comments here. Somebody on Facebook says I sleep great, making 55 to 70%. You should. You should sleep good. How much should a sub be making? It depends, Jason. It depends on what you do, but I mean, you should get your 50% markup on what you do. Subs are a little bit different, because you're most time providing labor, but you should be getting 50%. You also have a lot lower overhead. If I install a whole kitchen with Crown, Benjamin says, dude, can I sell a house without a realtor? Yeah, if you want to, but it may not be as easy. I don't know what you mean, Jason, by if you saw a whole kitchen with Crown. There's not enough information there to be able to help you with really anything. I use subs and pay piecework. My labor fee should land 12 to 14% of the sale price and pay piecework. My labor fee should be land 12 to 14 of the sale price. That sounds about right. My son markup is 250%. That your sub? I think that's supposed to be sub. Wes says I'm not charging enough. Yeah. Okay, I think we're caught up here for most part. Oh, we got some more. Good stuff. Thanks for the insight. Yep. What's the best form of advertising for the price in your opinion? Google pay-per-clicks. If you're paying for advertising, the best investment you can do for your business is websites and vehicle wraps. Like if you're looking at it from a dollar cost, return on investment, vehicle wraps are probably the largest return on your investment. If you're talking about paid advertising, Google pay-per-click is going to be usually your best return on investment. But you should have a really good website and you should have vehicle wraps and you should pay for Google pay-per-click. Jared says, I've been following Brad for almost a year. I started implementing his advice and it has changed my whole business and personal life. Now I'm enrolled in one of his programs. Yeah, Jared. And pretty soon you're going to accelerate or ascend into the Profit Club. I have a feeling Jared's going to be in the Profit Club soon. What's up, guys? Gami Burrows Landscaping. Do you worry about future jobs the way the country is? No. No. If you guys want to solve all of the world problems, and I'm being serious when I say this, if you want to solve all of the world problems, how it affects you personally in your business, here is what you should do: turn off the news, and that's it. If you turn off the news, you won't have any issues in your business or the economy. I promise you. 90% of this out here is mental and emotional response to what people hear and see on the news. I quit watching the news 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Like I literally don't read any news. I don't. Occasionally, if I open up Google on my phone, like it'll have a headline there. It says, um, what's his name? Elon Musk does this or whatever. Like, and I might read that article, but I don't watch local news. I don't watch national news. I don't listen to talk radio. I don't know anything that's going on in the world. If I don't see it on TikTok, or if I don't see it like happen haphazardly come across my screen, or somebody sends me a message or something, I have no idea, and I don't care. And it has not affected my life negatively in the last 2.5 years. It's only affected my life positively. If you just turn off the news, guys, the sky isn't falling anymore. It's that simple. Now, I'm not saying like put your head in the sand and don't prepare, but if you've listened to anything I've said in the past, like especially if you listen to my podcast, like you should have money in the savings, right? Like if you're a strong business, like as far as the health of your business, you should be able to go 6 months without a single job and still be able to pay all your employees, pay all of your expenses, and basically run as if nothing has changed without making a single penny for 6 months. Like that's a healthy business. And really, like if you want to be super healthy, it should be a year. That's hard for a lot of people to get there, but some of you have zero money in your bank account. Yes, you got an $80,000 truck, because that's a business expense, even though the $30,000 used truck would do the exact same thing. And yes, you have that nice piece of equipment that you just bought for $40,000 because you can't buy used, you got to buy new ones. It looks pretty because I'll get longer. When you buy used, you just don't know what you're going to get, and you end up spending too much money. So I got to buy new, and you got $150,000 in equipment and zero money in the bank. And that is a recipe for disaster. So then what happens is that when it does slow down a little bit, when you have a little hiccup and people get a little bit scared and they don't want to spend money right now, all of a sudden it's the economy, right? It's the economy is going bad, and I just can't find work out there. Nobody wants to pay what I want to charge. Reality is you don't have enough cash on hand. You didn't save enough. You weren't smart with your money, right? There's always dips in the economy, always, every year, from year to year. There's seasonal dips. There's dips in cycles in the real estate market. Like, usually the real estate's in a 20-year cycle, goes up and down, up and down. So on a micro level, like if you get really granular and you look at things, yes, like there's definitely things the economy can do that's going to affect your business, and you should be somewhat aware of it. But at a macro level, it's not enough to really make a difference if you're smart with how you run your business. And sometimes, if the economy does end up going into a full-blown depression or a recession, then you make changes to your business to accommodate that, right? But you don't operate out of fear mode because it may happen 6 months from now. I'm not going to start changing the way I do my business now because in 6 months we might be in a recession. No, I'm not going to change how I do it now. I'm going to be smart and put money back. But when I notice that the change in the economy is happening in my marketplace, I can start making the changes to my business to accommodate that. So I get that response a lot too. If I say, especially with the charging more, everyone's like, yeah, well, wait until the economy dips and then you won't have anybody that'll pay your fees. You might be right. But what if that doesn't happen for 3 years? So for the next 3 years, I should lower my pricing because just in case When the economy dips, I'll be ready, right? I'll lower my pricing now so that in 3 years when it does happen, I'll be ready. No, that makes no freaking sense whatsoever. I'm going to maximize it as long as I possibly can. And if in 6 months the economy dips, we go into recession, people aren't buying, I just pivot. I pivot what I do in my business. That's what you do in business, right? So, Chris, you need to be proactive, yeah, but you don't need to be like conspiracy theorist about it. Is what I'm saying. Like you don't need to be watching the news every day, checking your stock, your stocks every single day, and freaking out and wondering the sky is falling every single day by watching the news. But you can be proactive by putting money aside, for sure. Uh, so Wes, I hope that answered your question. Ted says I'm a welder and work union, but been out of work for a bit now. Any thoughts? Yeah, Ted, I don't know if you just jumped on here. I have one of my clients in my group is a young 20-something-year-old welder. He just started his business like 3 or 4 months ago and is already killing it. You can make so much money. He charges $125 an hour for welding. He does like repairs. He's getting into ornamental welding, like handrails and stuff. So if you're a decent welder, you could make a crap ton of money on your own, hands down. Yeah, raise your rates and lower your stress. That's right, 100%. I just raised mine again. We'll raise again soon if needed. If the phone's ringing and people are buying, your rates go up. If the phone slows down and people aren't buying, your rates go down. That's assuming that you know how to sell. If you don't know how to sell, that could be all your problem right there. You might just need to know how to sell. But if you can sell good and you just notice that the phone's ringing less, and when they do ring, you're getting less sales, your closing rate's going down, then you may need to lower your price a little bit, or you may need to add more value. That's all relatable. But as long as the phone's ringing and people are buying, your rate should go up until that threshold of when people stop buying. And if you're closing more than at the most 30% of your jobs, you're too cheap. You should never be closing more than 30, maybe 40%. But I see guys all the time talking about, I get 90% close rate. I close every job that I sell and I'm busy. And I'm like, you're screwing yourself out of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's supply and demand, guys. It's the law of supply and demand. If the big three or all the automakers came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, we're cutting our production in half," right? The economy's slowing. We're concerned. We're going to cut our production in half. We're going to make 50% of the cars that we typically make. What do you think is going to happen to the price of automobiles overnight? They're going to skyrocket because you're going to have, first of all, you're going to have a frenzy, right? You're going to have a reaction, an emotional reaction frenzy. Everyone's going to freak out and think that the price is going to go up. So what are they going to do? They're going to go buy all the cars, which is going to drive the price up. Secondly, when the supply drops off and the demand still stays the same, people are fighting for cars, so the price goes up. That's just law of supply and demand. Why would you not take advantage of that? It blows my mind. Let me ask you a question. When it's a really competitive market, how can you get more work? It's not competitive, man. The owner, it's not competitive. The market does not get more competitive than it has in the last hundreds of years. People come and go out of business. When I hear people say you have to be competitive or the market becomes more competitive, what I hear is you don't provide enough value through your branding and your marketing. Because if you're the number one contractor in your area, you don't have competitors. Everyone's trying to compete with you. And that's the place you want to be in. You want to be number one. So if you're not doing things every single day to become number one, then you are shooting yourself in the foot. And I can tell you right now, it's not lowering your price. Lowering your price is never the solution. It's always adding more value. So even if the market does like dip, the solution is not I need to lower my price. It's how can I provide more value? Maybe that's doing more things, like working more hours, but it's not lowering your price per se. There's not a lot. There's always unlicensed people out there, man. Always. You got to change your mindset with this. If you're having trouble selling jobs, you're competing in the wrong market. You're competing with the wrong clients. If I go and compete with Craigslist or Facebook, I will lose 100% of the time. I'm just looking in the wrong place, right? So it's not a matter of there's competition out there. It's you haven't carved a niche or your own unique selling position in your business. You're not providing value. My hourly charge is pretty high, and I do take it easy on some customers. And that's cool if you want to do that. If you're charging enough to where you're making good money and your company's making good money and everybody's happy, and you come across a situation where someone truly needs a handout, a helping hand, then by all means do that. Like, that's the exception. But if your mindset is I can't charge more because I don't want to rip anybody else, I don't want to rip everybody off, and I want to keep everyone fair. I freaking hate that word fair. That's a mindset problem, right? But given, like, one of my clients has done extremely well. He's on TikTok. I've mentioned him before. He grew his business by 100% his first year, and he's going to double it again. He's on track to double it again this year, over double it, like 125% this year. And he just said that they're getting ready to like do a whole project for somebody that needs help, like a major, like they're going to do a major discount for this one person who needs help. That's running your business so you can be charitable. That's what that means. It's not running your business like a charity every day. I'm getting a home built in California. General contractor not finished our house. It'd been 3 years. You got screwed. You got the wrong general contractor. I'd take him to court. They usually do it for tax reasons, but yeah, I agree on the point. I don't know which one you were talking about on that. You're not supposed to close every job, just the ones that matter. That's right. Love your content. Awesome, L&L. Appreciate it. What happens when you price yourself out of work? You don't. I've never met a contractor. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying of the hundreds and thousands of people that I talk to, I have not met one that's priced themselves out of work. I've not seen that yet. I've met contractors that don't provide enough value and therefore they can't sell jobs. But I've never met one who has priced themselves out of work because they're just so expensive. I have another one of my clients. His minimum, he does landscaping. His minimum job is $60,000. That's his minimum starting price is $60,000. He won't do anything less than 60,000. And most of his jobs are 100 to 150, $200,000 jobs. And these are not like corporate jobs. These are like people's homes. Like he's doing work in their house. So it's not like you just you keep charging and then all of a sudden no one wants to pay that. You just have to get really good at finding your clients. Yeah, Chris is on Facebook. You got it, guys. Most of you are just trying to sell to the wrong people. Let me show you this here. This is another illustration I like to do because people get this wrong. Let me move this back a little bit. So let's pretend. I wish I should have got my blue marker, but we'll do it in black. Let's pretend you're going fishing. This is a lake, okay? And you're going fishing. And there's all kinds of fish in this lake. Okay? I'm not going to draw 100 fish. These are fish. Okay? But we want the red fish. These are the big ones. Okay, we want the big fish. Bear with me. So we got two big fish and five small fish, and we'll say that represents hundreds. So each fish is 100 people, 100 fish. Okay, I want to catch the red fish. That's what I want to do. What that means is that there's only, let's say the red only, let's change this up. I'm going to change it a little bit. The red fish equals uh 10 clients. So each red fish represents 10, each black fish represents 100. So in this scenario, there's only 20 red fish, okay? And there's 500 black fish. 20 red, 500 black. Okay? Yeah, I know it's terrible drawing. I suck at just, it's kind of hard to like hold it on your shoulder and draw this. I digress. There's 20 red fish in this lake and there's 500 black fish, and we're trying to find the red fish. So we only have 20 potential clients that we can sell to. The problem what you guys are doing is you're trying to throw a net. You're trying to throw a big old net out, and you're just trying to catch as many fish as you can. Okay? And if you do that, you threw out this net, you just caught 200 black fish, which is the wrong customer. Black is wrong, red is good. So you throw out a big net and you want to try and catch as many people as you want, as you can, and you caught 200 black fish, which are the completely wrong people. That means you have to pre-qualify 200 people to find out that they're not going to be good clients, right? That's what's happening. You're throwing nets out there and you're trying to think, I need a bigger net. I need a bigger net. I got to find more people. And you go through, 30 people and they're like, your price is too high. Your price is too high. And so what do you believe? You start to believe that the economy is crashing because people aren't buying. In reality, it's that you are fishing for the wrong fish. You're catching the wrong fish. So if I know that these red fish, let's say they're bass, they're largemouth bass. I want to go fishing for largemouth bass. What do I do as a fisherman? Well, I figure out where they hang out. And I know fish like to hang out around structure. Bass like to hang out around structure, like to hang around the banks. If you're a fisherman, you troll the banks. You usually troll them like early in the mornings before the sun comes up. There's things about wind and rain and all these different things you can do to figure out how to catch the bass. And then you use specific lures, right? You use a specific lure. So if I want to catch this red fish, I get in my boat here. And yes, I know it's a terrible boat, but I get in my boat here and I start fishing the banks and I'm trolling the banks because I have a higher probability of catching a bass if I know exactly where they hang out. And so if I'm doing that and then I find the honey hole, right, where the bass are at, now I can start catching these red ones. And now I can sell more, and because my prices are higher, I don't need to sell, 50 jobs a year. I can just sell 10 jobs a year with the redfish, and it's a hell of a lot easier to complete 10 jobs than it is 50. And so once I know how to target my ideal client and I figure out where they hang out and what kind of food they like and all of that stuff that goes with them, it becomes much easier to find those right clients. But a lot of you guys are throwing nets out there, or you're not even you're trying to catch fish with bread. You're on Facebook Marketplace and you're on Craigslist making posts with pieces of bread and with a string tied to it, not even a hook, and you're trying to catch these fish with with bread. And you're like, I can't find clients. Clients don't want to pay my rates. It's like, yeah, because you're doing it wrong. You have to go to where the people are. And there's only so many of them. So in that scenario of this lake, if I go to this lake, I have a way more likelihood of catching the wrong clients than the right ones because there's way more bad ones than there are good ones. So if I become laser specific with my marketing and I know who my customer avatar is, and I know that like my customer avatar has this family makeup, right? They have on average 3 kids, and they have an average income of $200,000, and the husband works as a professional, a lawyer or a doctor or a businessman, and the wife's a stay-at-home mom who raises the kids, and they live in this certain demographic. They drive these types of cars. Their kids go to this specific school. When I start knowing who my target demographic is, it becomes much, much easier to catch those people. You can go super granular on this. If I know that my target demographic like to golf, right? If I'm targeting doctors and a lot of doctors golf, then I can start doing ads. I could start running Facebook ads or YouTube ads or Google listings that circle around golf, that focus around golf. And if I got really creative, I could do like a little video of me out on the driving range, trying to hit a golf ball, like totally screwing it up, and make some kind of reference to like, hey, is hiring a contractor kind of like a bad day at golf or something like that? Like, if is your experience hiring contractors like a bad golf shot? Well, at our company we do things different. Blah blah blah. Whatever. This is a terrible representation. It's off the cuff. But if you're a guy who likes golf and you're scrolling Facebook and you see a guy teeing up a golf shot, I guarantee you're going to at least pause to see what's going to happen on that video because it's something that you're interested in. And then if it catches your eye and you do it well enough and you're like a contractor or whatever you do, whatever service you offer, they're going to remember that because they tied something that they enjoy with something they may need. And you've made that connection. See, guys, most of you guys are out there like playing t-ball in your business. And I'm telling you, like, the pros are 100 steps ahead of you. And I'm like touching the surface of stuff that you can do. Like most of you guys are self-employed and you've created jobs for yourself. And I'm not digging on you because I was there for a long time. I spent many years of my business as self-employed, as basically owning my own job. But I've spent years of my life and hundreds and thousands of hours of my life and tens of thousands of dollars of my money to get better, to invest in myself. So you have to make that change. You have to go from craftsman to business owner if you ever want to get out of the rat race. It's not as simple as you just hire more people because that creates more problems. It's not as simple as, you know, um, you just discount your pricing and do more jobs. It's not as simple as you work more hours or more days of the week. That's what broke people do. People that don't know what they're doing do. People that are lost. That's what those people do. Jared says, find somebody who's running a successful company and model what they're doing and invest in yourself. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I do need to hop off here soon. I want to go through these comments here. Nice work truck is key. 100%, Jimmy. I agree. It doesn't have to be a brand new truck. It just has to, be taken care of. Uh, it's all over TikTok. Yeah. My dad was blown away when I told him I don't watch any news. Yeah, I was in a group. I'm in a men's Bible study group at church. They started last week, and I was on there, and they were talking. And one of the guys, and everybody at my table is over 60. I'm the youngest one at this table, and it always goes political every single time. And sure enough, the guy was like, I just have a hard time listening to the news. It's all negative. I'm like, turn the news off, dude. I can't do that. I've been watching the news. I've been watching the local news for 55 years. I'm like, okay, well then walk around being upset all day if that's what you want to do. Like, guys, some of the stuff is right in your face, super easy. You just go click, and it fixes everything. Most of the time, these guys that older people that have been in business for a minute who are struggling, like it's all pride, it's all ego. Like, I don't want to change. You guys should fall in love with change because the only thing that's constant is change. Change happens all the time. In 5-10 years, marketing will be totally different. Everybody's on TikTok now. In 5-10 years, it'll be something totally different. And if you don't change with the times, you'll get left behind. Leonard says 95% of my bids say I'm too high. I'm closing 5%. Yeah, but you're making good money on those 5%. I have a whole bunch of messages here. You guys are hot on the comments today. All right. I'm catching up. What is the best marketing strategy for getting the phone to ring? I just went over that, Rachel. Hopefully you caught all that. What kind of money you pulling down a year? Checkmate. Um, are you talking about my coaching business? I don't have my construction business anymore. Are you number one in your area? I was. My construction business was number one. Love your mindset. I know unlicensed contractors do way better work than unlicensed. Then I think you meant licensed. It's all mindset. Why do you need to be licensed and insured to do easy jobs like pressure washing? You don't. You don't have to be licensed and insured. If your state or county doesn't require it, you don't need to be. What's a good labor wage? I don't know because it depends on where you live. If you're in New York, it's going to be totally different than where I live, like majorly different. I just started LC the other day. Any tips for a newbie? Yeah, go listen to my podcast, Austin Rogers. I would love to talk to you one on one how to make that happen. Chris, go to my profile. Go right here to my profile. Click on my name, and there's a link in there. You can get with me. You can schedule a call, or you can go to my website. You can go to this website right here, Contractor Profit Blueprint. I don't know if you guys can read that. If you go to contractorprofitblueprint.com, you can schedule a one-on-one call with me. You can schedule a strategy call, and we'll look at your business, see what we can do to help. Can we talk one-on-one? I have really bad. Yeah, same thing, Seema. Just go to my website or go to my profile and click on it. And by the way, guys that are on the call right now, tomorrow night I'm doing a free training with Ryan England, who owns Core Matters. He's doing a free training on how to recruit and hire and retain good employees. So if you run an employee model, it's a free training. It starts at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you on TikTok, if you go to my profile, it's the very first button you can register. If you're on Facebook, it'll be broadcast live in the free Facebook group. If you're watching anywhere else, you're going to have to join my Facebook group in order to see that training broadcast. My clients that are in the Profit Club, they will actually be on the call asking questions and getting help. It's just a perk. It's one of the perks they have for being in. But everybody else can listen in on that call. It's going to be really, really good. And Ryan's going to drop some knowledge on recruiting and retention for your business. So that's tomorrow night. So if you're watching this now, it's tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Go and register for it. Can you ask the client for extra money that lumber has increased? Nothing in writing. See, that's no. I mean, can you? Sure. Should you? No. That's on you for not having that set up right. There's ways you can put price volatility in your contracts, but it needs to be somehow specified how you're going to handle that. It can't just be a word of mouth. Like I'm going to say, yeah, I'll do this job for $5,000, and then you don't start it for 3 months, and in that 3 months the material costs go up, $600 or whatever, and then you just charge them. You can't do. I mean, technically you can do whatever you want, but should you do that? No. Are they going to pay it? Probably not. We're getting caught up here. When are you going live again? I go live every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Every live Monday, 4 p.m. Central Standard. Sometimes I'll go live again throughout the week. A lot of times I'll go live Friday afternoons, but that's probably going to stop soon because I've changed my schedule. How would you suggest someone take the leap to start their own business? You need to have about absolute minimum 1 month, preferably about 3 months of your overhead expenses for you to live on in savings before you start your own business. If you can start out doing it part-time, that would be ideal. And then transition, like once your part-time income is catching up to your actual regular income, then you can make a switch. Sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes you might be making $100,000 a year, salary, and you're wanting to start your own business, and it would take you a long time to get to $100,000 a year part-time. So that may not work. But if, let's say you do it part-time and you get up to 30, 40,000 a year, part-time, and that amount of money can sustain your lifestyle, then you're ready to make the switch. but you're never going to be like making more money. I shouldn't say never. It usually doesn't happen unless you're in a very specific, unless you have a low salary now and you get a super niche thing and you can easily bypass that. But it's never going to be like I'm making a lot more money, I can just switch. Like you need to have some in the reserves. You need to try and start scheduling jobs and doing that part time if you can, depending on what it is. And then eventually you just got to bite the bullet. All right, I think I caught up, guys. I need to hop off here. Hopefully this has been helpful. If it has on TikTok, do me a favor, double tap the screen. On Facebook or YouTube, just give it a like if you would. And if you want more information on how I can help you in your business, you can go to my website, contractyourprofitblueprint.com. I have information on there, as well as you can schedule a one-on-one strategy call with me. And I have a few worksheets that you can download on there as well to help you in your business. I have a job costing worksheet and a labor burden worksheet, and I think I have the potential profit calculator on there. I forget. There's one more worksheet on there. I forget what it is. But again, remember tomorrow night's the live training with Ryan. You got to go register for that if you want to be on that call. And if you're on TikTok, you're going to have to go and sign up. Just go to my profile. If you go to my profile on TikTok and you click the link, there's all kinds of buttons in there that do different things. There's one for the podcast. There's one for my that's the other one. My how to eliminate tire kickers. That's the other free giveaway on my website. But that's also on TikTok and a bunch of all my contacts in TikTok. Just go to my profile. Everybody else, thanks for hanging out with me. And yeah, last question was it all comes down to how you think and what you think about. 100%. I'll give you guys a book recommendation when I leave as I leave here. I just started listening to this. I'm about halfway through it, but it's a phenomenal book on mindset and self-talk, and it's called Untethered Soul. So go look it up, buy it on Amazon or listen to it on Audible. It's called Untethered Soul, and it's all about your mindset and your self-talk. And here's something I'll leave you with. I was going to make a video on this today and I didn't get around to it, but your self-talk, what you say to yourself. And I realize some people don't have an inner dialogue, and if you don't, I don't know how you live in life, but unfortunately this won't help you. But the rest of us that have self-talk where we say things like you're dumb, you're stupid, you can't do this, you can't do that, you shouldn't charge for that, why did you do this, why did you say that, that inner dialogue that we have, imagine that inner dialogue if it was a real person sitting on the couch next to you and you're hanging out at your house or your apartment, whatever, in the living room, and you're watching a movie or just hanging out, and that person sitting next to you, which is your inner dialogue, your self talk, was saying everything out loud that you say to yourself. How many of you would like lose your mind and freak out and tell that person to shut up, maybe even punch him in the mouth? Because that's exactly what we do to ourselves with our inner dialogue. Is we have a person sitting on the couch next to us talking to us, which is just nonsense and noise in our brain. And I don't care how long, I mean, if someone keeps saying you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb over and over again, like you're going to start, it's some of that's going to creep into your brain. So you're going to start believing some of that. When people on TikTok and Facebook and everywhere says, you can't charge that much, you can't charge that much, you're ripping people off. When you see that stuff, that's the person sitting on the couch next to you telling you that. And that's what you're letting into your head. So that your mindset is most of the time what keeps you from succeeding. That's why step 1 on the profit blueprint is actually mastering your mindset, because it's so critical. If you don't have the right mindset, nothing else that I tell you will matter because you won't listen or believe it. So one of the first step we do in the profit blueprint is master your mindset. So that's just a parting thing to think about. Your inner dialogue sitting on the couch next to you, talking all the time out loud, it would drive you nuts and you would tell them to shut up. Yet we tolerate it in our brain every single day. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. And I'll see you next time.